So it's essential that we regain our momentum that we've lost and work the work of our time, it seems to me, those of us who hold public office, is to prepare ourselves to be more competitive and to win the fast-changing 21st century in the global economy. Things are changing incredibly quickly. That's why I propose two critical pieces of legislation being debated back in Washington right now. The first, a bill to invest in our physical infrastructure, and the second is a bill to invest in our human infrastructure. I'll talk about both these bills in just a moment, but first, I want to set one thing straight. These bills are not about left versus right, or moderate versus progressive, or anything that pits Americans against one another. These bills are about competitiveness versus complacency. They're about opportunity versus decay. They're about leading the world or continue to let the world pass us by, which is literally happening. To support these investments is to create a rising America. America is moving. To oppose these investments is to be complicit in America's decline. To support these bills is to pursue a broader vision of our nation, and to oppose them is to accept a very cramped view of our future. This isn't about two pieces of legislation. It's about the inflection point I mentioned earlier we are in our history, the world history. So, here's what I'm proposing. First, the infrastructure bill. It's about rebuilding our roads, our highways, our bridges, our ports, our airports, our broadband, all the things that need repair. Our arteries of our economy have always been fueled by the economic might and dynamism of Americans. Across the country right now, 45,000 bridges and 173,000 miles of roads, according to engineers, the Society of Engineers, are in poor condition. Right now, including more than 1,200 bridges as the governor's been fighting to repair here in your state, 7,300 miles of roads here in Michigan. I'll bet everyone in this room can tell me what the most dangerous intersection in this town or any town they live in and where it is. That you hold your breath when you're driving over trying to cross the street. Not a joke. Working with the governor and members of the Congress here, we're going to put hardworking Americans like the operating engineers here in Howell on the job to bring back our infrastructure and bring it up to speed. Good union jobs, not $12, $15, $18, prevailing wage jobs. Wage that give you dignity, that you can raise a family on, that you can hold your head up. This is a blue-collar blueprint for how we restore America's pride. And these are jobs that can't be outsourced. We're going to put plumbers and pipe fitters to work, replacing lead pipes in America, so families and children can drink clean water. 400,000 schools. I mean, it's not just our homes, it's across the country. We're going to put line workers and electricians to work laying thousands of miles of transmission lines and to build a modern infrastructure and energy grid. We're going to make high-speed internet affordable and available to everywhere in America. We're talking about that on the way over with Alyssa, that how short the number of people have access to the internet here because of the lack of investment. We're going to make the largest investment in public transit in American history. And we're going to make the most important investment in our rail system since the creation of Amtrak 50 years ago. And let me tell you, our competitors aren't hanging around and waiting to see what we're going to do. They've been pouring billions of dollars into infrastructure and into this training their people for years now. Take China, for example. Now, I've been clear that China uses unfair coercive practices to get ahead of their competitors, but that's not the whole of the story. They also invest in themselves. In recent years, China has spent around 3 times as much on infrastructure as a share of their economy than we have. 3 times. And they're not slowing down. Yesterday, my U.S. trade representative delivered an important speech on our competition with China. She pointed out that China made a major investment in steel plants beginning about 20 years ago. In the last 20 years, half of American steel companies have been shuttered. We went from 100 U.S. steel companies to 51. And employment in the American steel industry dropped by 40% since the year 2000. China now produces more steel in 1 month than America does in an entire year. You can see it in the sector after sector. Other countries are speeding up and America's falling behind. We've got to reset the pace again. We've got to set a different pace. For example, here in Michigan, we need to make sure that American auto workers lead the world in electric vehicles. And some of you came to the White House when I had the chairman of the board of General Motors, Chrysler, and General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford. You know, and what did they decide to do? They decided they're going to lead the world and they're going to build more of the electric vehicles than any other country. But guess what? China's not waiting around. They manufacture more than twice as many electric vehicles as we have over the last decade. They control more than 75% of the battery market. And they're poised to invest another $14 billion in charging capacity now in their country. Back in May, I had the chance to tour Ford's new state-of-the-art facility in Dearborn, where union workers are building the first ever all-electric Ford F-150. I got to drive that sucker. It's quick, 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. And it's a big boy. It's a big one. Months later, I hosted the big three automakers at the White House, where the Ford 150 was joined by the GMC Hummer and the Jeep Wagoneer, all going electric, all in partnership with the UAW. The whole world knows that the future of the auto industry is electric. We need to make sure America builds that future instead of falling behind. We should build those vehicles and the batteries to get them here in the United States of America. That's what we should build here in the state of Michigan. I want those jobs, and no, I really mean it. I want those jobs here in Michigan, not halfway around the globe. That's what my plan will do. The infrastructure bill